My interview partner today is Christoph Eberhahn from Hamburg. He has worked in international industry in research and development for many years and in leading positions. And he has agreed to ask me about my invention and to hear from me about cannabis plant that is, in general, only known as a drug.
Right. My partner today is Galathea Bisterfeld von Meer. She is a physicist. She has studied astrophysics, economics. So as you can see, she's a very versatile person, rather like hemp that we're going to talk about today. I'd like to start with a question about your patent. What is it about and what's new that doesn't already exist?
Yeah.
Because of course there is already a lot about hemp and its products, but something must be new.
Mm-hmm. Right. Indeed, something is new. Hemp, of course, has been used over the centuries. In industry, paper is made from it, and textiles are made from it. It's used in home insulation and all sorts of applications that I can't even get into because that would be too much. What is new about this whole affair is, first of all, I have taken industrial hemp. That is to say, it's hemp that has only 0.2% THC. That means it's not psychoactive. So you can smoke or do whatever you want with it in bunches and you won't have a psychoactive effect.
There are different types of hemp.
There are different types of hemp. Hemp, you have Cannabis sativa and Cannabis indica. The indica type is not used in industry. The sativa type is used in industry, and the hemp that we have developed in Europe to use as industrial hemp grows up to 3 to 4 meters in height. It grows virtually every climate, but in the middle and north of Europe it is a little too cold for seeds to ripen. So it is really used for industry use only, and not already for consumption of people. Hemp is used for consumption of people so far as tea, so we use the leaves already, and mainly the seeds are used as they are, or
and,
you can make oil.
Bird food.
Bird feed, it's used
I
as
have
bird
noticed
feed.
that my birds in my garden, they leave it alone, they don't like it.
They don't like it. Well, maybe it is not well harvested. There is always the problem of mildew when you don't treat hemp very well. And well, but let me tell you about what is new and what I have invented.
Right.
When I developed a firm, a company in its physical structure for a friend who wanted to grow cannabis in Kazakhstan, I came up with a line of production that started with pressing hemp when it came fresh from the field. Traditionally, hemp is harvested and then it sits in the field under the sun and the rain, so that the bacteria can separate the shives, that is the stabilizing part in the stem, and the fibers. This is the long stringy part. And these bacteria are used, and still today they are used to separate these two components. For what he wanted to use the hemp for, we didn't need that separation. So I said, we press the hemp and then you can start right away with the production of whatever he wanted to do.
So when you press the hemp, you get a fluid which contains the oil that you're after.
Not really. I'm not after the oil, because I harvest the hemp when industry wants to harvest it, before the ripeness of the seeds. When the seeds are ripe, you cannot use the leaves or the stems anymore. They have already become a little wilted. So everything that the plant has to offer is then gone into the seed. I harvested before the ripeness of the seed. And indeed, the pressed liquid, the juice that came out of it, to me, had the feeling, gave me the feeling that it was very healthy. And I had it at the University of Wuppertal in Germany. I had it analyzed for its usefulness for people.
Can you deduce the usefulness of a product by chemical analysis? I'm a mechanical engineer, so I find it rather astonishing that from an analysis you can predict its use in, say, cosmetics or in medicines.
Yeah, you can, of course. There is some research done at the moment on particularly two ingredients that cannabis has. The cannabinoids or the cannabidiols are specific to cannabis plant. The interesting thing is that we humans have receptors for cannabinoids in our body. Mm-hmm. We have it in our brain, in our vertebra, we have it in the liver, in the intestines, in various parts of the body. So cannabis is already known to us as humans. I'm convinced that we have gone a long way, evolutionary way with each other. And the thing is now that with the research done on the two cannabinoids, one is THC, that is the only psychoactive molecule in the plant, and the other is CBD, cannabidiol. And cannabidiol seems to be responsible or is acting in a lot of uses, in medical uses.
And the body has receptors for both of these? For
both of these and for many others.
Okay.
For many others of the cannabinoids. So the novelty is to press out of an industrial use plant, press juice that has not been pressed before on an industrial scale, and to use it for human consumption. And the way I had it analyzed was for proteins, for vitamins, for minerals, for polyphenols, and have I forgotten anything? No, I think these are the main parts that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. So I didn't focus on any one segment because my intention is to use the entire plant as it is in nature, and not like the pharmaceutical industry, just concentrate on one part and dissect it, so to speak, from its natural environment. And it's, I think, very rare that you can have a patent on whatever the plant in its entirety has to offer, and the patent is for the process of pressing the juice.
So the actual pressing of the plant before the seeds are ripe. Mm-hmm. In other words, when some of the goodies are still in the plant,
you're right, exactly.
Not in the seeds. Okay.
Exactly. This is what it does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what's new about the pressing process that you have patented?
Well, the pressing of hemp needs a very strong machines. Hemp is, as you know, a very strong plant, and it doesn't give its juice easily. Mm-hmm. So when you want to really have a sizable amount and not just do it in your kitchen equipment, you need some very specific pressure and very specific ways to get to the juice.
So it's a very energy-intensive process. It needs a lot of power to operate these machines.
Actually not. It just needs a specific way of construction of the machine. Mm-hmm. To get to the pressure. But the power use is no more than any other. I could even run it in my technicum where I do my experiments. Mm-hmm. You don't need high voltage electricity for that. Well, my patent is actually twofold, because it is not just, it doesn't just press the juice, but it also, I have also patented some of the uses of the juice made into beverages. And we can talk about this later. What I would like to tell you is that when you harvest hemp, this 3 to 4 meter high plant when it is harvested for industry. You get from 1 hectare, you get about 3 to 4 tons of juice by just using the upper part that normally, and the leaves that normally will just stay on the field. So industry is not really losing anything or anything much by my patent being applied to the plant.
Okay. And what happens with the juice? You say part of your patent relates to the further use of this juice, which contains presumably a lot of water that needs to be separated from the active parts.
Now we leave the water in it because the water actually that is in the plant is very good water. It has sort of been filtered by the plant itself. So we don't want to waste any of it, even though it means that you have higher transportation costs. But you can use it you can ferment it and make beer out of it. Presumably not really in Germany, because as you know, we have very stern and medieval type of rules how to make beer. But you can make the entire juice. You can ferment this into a beer.
Mm-hmm. And this water is very good quality, presumably because the plant doesn't need to be treated with herbicides, insecticides,
exactly.
Because it's a very resistant plant.
Exactly, and this is what makes it sort of biological on its own right. I mean, you just don't need to spray pesticides on any kind of hemp plant because it grows so fast that it will keep down all the other plants that otherwise might disturb its growth. What people will do, however, is they give it a little fertilizer. In my mind, some of it is not even necessary because hemp has a very deep growing root, so it can take out of the soil the remaining fertilizer from the fruit that has been harvested on the field prior to its planting. So it's a plant that grows with very little to a very good height, and it is because it doesn't use pesticides. It is wonderful for the environment, of course.
Okay, now we know what the patent is about. My question would be, has the machine been built or is it just on paper so far?
No, the machines have been built.
Have been built.
What we are doing is we use machines that are on the market. We have modified them just a bit, but what we do at the moment is we put a couple of machines together on a container that can be driven from one field to the other. Because I don't believe in making huge machines because usually you get a lot of problems by blowing up the size of something that has worked well in a small scale. And secondly, it is very expensive to just have a machine sitting there in one hall and have the hemp been transported to it. So it's much easier to bring the machine to the hemp. And what you then need is, in order to keep the hemp juice fresh for further application, is to freeze it. You have to have freezing containers at the site of the farm so that you can drive there with your containers, your machines to make the juice, and then it is frozen. However, there is an application that is my favorite that doesn't need freezing of the hemp juice. My favorite application is that you take a very good salt from deep down in some mountains and you drench it with just the right amount of hemp juice so it doesn't dissolve, the salt doesn't dissolve, and then you let it dry and you have hemp salt.
Hemp salt?
Yes.
Okay.
And the hemp salt preserves the proteins that are in the plant. You know, when I mentioned the ingredients, it is such that there is about half as much protein in the plant as is in milk. Not as much as in soya, I have to say that, but is a very good amount of all the amino acids that we need. Indeed, all the 20 amino acids that that exist are present in hemp, which I think is just amazing that we have wasted it so far, not used it before as a nourishment product.
Well, when you say salt, I find that if I go to a supermarket nowadays here in the vicinity, there are 25 different sorts of salt, yes. And I don't know which to use. I just use normal sea salt, or from the Himalaya mountains,
yes.
Because I find that this salt does not smell of chlorine. If you take normal cooking salt, it smells of chlorine, and I don't like that. So that's
you're on the right track.
Interesting application.
Yes.
Yes, but the question to me is, why do we need all this? Do we really need it all? And how are we going to eventually, or how are you eventually going to see that these products are sold?
Yeah.
That customers are convinced that these products, because they come from an economically friendly plant, are true bio, and useful for themselves.
Yeah.
For their health, for their well-being, and for the environment.
Well, the environmental and ecological impact of hemp is very good. You know, there are other places in the net and in the literature where you can find out about this. But let me talk about the salt. First of all, I found that when I made the salt in my experimental technicum, and people have used it, they find that whatever they use the salt with tastes so much better. And indeed, there is research done that cannabis enhances the taste. Maybe it just enhances your ability with the taste buds. I don't know about that. But this means that, first of all, it tastes better when you use it. Secondly, and you can feel it and you can taste it yourself. Everybody can taste it. And secondly, because it is a taste enhancer, you use less salt. So it's also good for your health. Plus...
because most people take too much salt with their food.
Yeah, and industry takes too much salt. You know, they use this cheap natrium chloride, which you have already said that smells like chlorine, I'm afraid, yes. So we only use very good salt. That's the basis of it. And then this salt has lots of minerals in it, and everything that was, you know, good in the seas from a million years before, that has then... as
a taste enhancer. Is that a similar mechanism to the mechanism that is described in the literature, that these products react in the human body in such a way that they suppress pain, and they suppress pain because they have an effect on the brain, which means that you don't feel the pain. It's still there, but you sort of develop an attitude you couldn't care less about it.
Yeah. Well,
is that a similar mechanism?
I don't know. There you branch off into the medical uses of cannabis and cannabis juice. It has been used by people who have migraine headaches. And it does suppress the pain of migraine headaches. It does suppress the nausea you have when you have cancer treatment. And it does suppress, or it does relieve some of the nerve twitching that you have with multiple sclerosis. And it is said to have a lot of very good effects. I'm not so sure that it does have that effect with this low 0.2% THC that we use. I'm afraid to say that we haven't made any medical research into this subject.
That was going to be one of my next questions. What studies have been done on your juice, if I may say so?
Yeah. Well, on the juice, very little, because it is new. You know, the patent has been awarded in Germany just last year, 2013. Actually, there are two patents, one for the juice and one for the beverages, and it is on its way to be awarded in Europe and in the States and in many other countries that I have applied for. But you must understand that the leading prevention of having research done on cannabis is the United States. That is the biggest barrier and hampering of a nation at the moment, because the United States has classified cannabis as a class 1 drug. That means it has no medical value, it is only dangerous as heroin is. And I think this is utterly wrong.
People is that the FDA?
No, it's the Food and Drug Administration. I think maybe it is them who have administered this classification, but it's also federal law, it seems, that cannabis is not supposed to be to have any research done on it in the United States, and of course many other countries have obeyed and abide by this rule.
Which is rather astonishing, because in many cases the United States are leading in research on new medicines.
It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate relic of the 70s. But of course, now that cannabis has been legalized in Colorado and Washington State for any kind of, it's not even regulated. It's just been legalized. Then of course you know that there's lots of research done on it, and not only in the medical field, but I hope also in the field of nutrition, because cannabis grows everywhere in the world, and when you think of its applications in the third world as an industry, as an industrial raw material, and then you think that at the same time, while you harvest the raw material, you also harvest the juice for people's consumption in areas where there is very little water, maybe, and the water has been captured by the plant from deep down, then I think it has its value not just in the medical field, but also in the nutritional field. And that's why I look forward to the people who want to use it as beverages. And
what sort of tests do you need to do, and what type of study or analysis do you need to do in order to get the permission from the authorities here in Germany, for example, or in Europe, if you like, to get permission to produce this material and to sell it? We know from, for example, the chemical industry that there are enormous restrictions depending on the quantity of product produced per year with respect to tests that you have to do, including even animal tests in some cases. Now, with the bioproducts, one of the major claims is that they have been tested without animal testing. So is that something that you need to do on your products?
Strangely enough, one would think that if you look at if you look at cannabis as a drug, but actually in Europe we have the following situation. First of all, Europe, the EU, as the European Union, has agreed on certain regulation of what the THC content should be when you sell it in the market. Then the next thing is that actually hemp is already used as food. It is used, the seeds, the oil, the leaves are used as tea. So what I'm doing is not even novel food, and it doesn't fall under the novel food regulation. There is no regulation in Europe, except that you have to look for a special THC amount in the drinks that you sell. It is very low. At the moment it is 0.005% THC in drinks, and it is higher in the oil, when you press oil from the seeds, and the tea leaves have just the THC in it that is in the plant itself. Mm-hmm. So there are various degrees of THC that you can have that is allowed in Europe, and the German government is, as far as we could see, in accordance with that. So there seems to be, and I hope this will stay this way as well, that we have a regulation throughout Europe that everybody goes by. Because that gives security to the consumers, which is extremely important to me as a point as well.
So you can control that by using the type of plant that has a low content to start with, mm-hmm. and then presumably in the finished product you can dilute if necessary.
Exactly. But there is another way that that we can control it. Next to the patent, I have devised a trademark, and that is Green Snake. It's a beautiful trademark. I hope you'll appreciate it as much as I do. The Green Snake can only be used by those companies that have license agreements with me, and also that have agreed to use the trademark. It shows to anybody that there is no THC according to the European standards in the product.
So this is a nice snake that doesn't bite you.
It doesn't bite.
And even if it does bite you, it hasn't got any poison.
Right, exactly. That's the healthy snake.
Yeah, okay.
It's a symbol of the healthy snake. Actually, what it should do, and I hope this is something that I do for the mothers and fathers, because I was so concerned when my daughters were teenaged and they came back home blurry-eyed, and I knew exactly what they had done. So I'm very concerned with anybody using the products where you have the snake, the little green snake on it, that you can be safe and sure that this is drug-free. Mm-hmm. It does have a little THC in it, but it is not acting as a drug because it's in such low concentration. Could you
concentrate it by distillation or something?
No, you couldn't really do it. I think this would be extremely costly.
This is a company that you have...
yes, I have GmbH. It's a limited, German limited company. It's an older one. I mean, I have been doing business in various other fields before. So the company and I myself am the owners of the patent and also the rights, the trade to the trademark. And okay. The trademark is valid in countries where I have not opted for patents as well. So it's rather even a more worldwide thing. I just hope that it's my contribution to the use of cannabis for what it actually can also be used for, not as a medical plant, but as a recreational plant without the drugs.
Right.
I know that I won't be loved by several people for that, but I think cannabis...
Why not?
Because most people think of cannabis as a recreational drug. And it probably does have some nice and enhancing effects when you have THC in it. But as I envision it as a drink that can make you sleep better, that can make your digestion better, that will relax you, that enhances your parasympathetic nervous system.
You say you imagine that. Now, I know you have a lot of fantasy, but have you tried it yourself or on your friends?
Yes, we have. Well, first, I must say, I never tried a joint.
The drink.
Of course.
What does it taste like? Because I read that people using the oil say you've got to get used to it first. And
yeah.
If I want to use it in a salad, I have to mix it with olive oil. Now that doesn't sound to me all that attractive. As it's not a very good marketing argument anyway.
It is not. But you're talking now about the taste and what it looks like.
Yeah.
The taste is, and the looks are not very attractive at first. And it's not that you have to get used to it. I mean, the look is that it is a dark green. you don't think that this is something you want to drink. If you put it in beer, or if you make a whiskey type out of it, or a liquor that like Jägermeister or whatever, like an herbal liquor out of it, of course the color is perfectly okay for such a kind of drink. But if you put it into a recreational soft drink, then you don't want to have that dark green color with it as a dominant feature. And of course you can't, because it's not dark green, because you have to dilute it so much. But what happens with the cannabis taste is, when you taste it and just as it is, freshly pressed, it tastes a little bit like hay. It does have a specific cannabis taste to it, I must say. And it tastes bitter as well, so very unattractive. People who use it for medical reasons don't care, because you know they need it for medical reasons. But the strange thing that happens with the bitterness is it vanishes completely when you put it together, when you mix it together with fruit juice. Somehow the fruit sugar and the cannabis bitterness react to a heightening of the sweetness, and the bitterness is gone completely. So we have tested in all various ways. It needs some mixing, to my mind, in order to be a leisure drink, a drink, recreational drink, a soft drink. It needs mixing, and there is room for companies to make their special profile in what they want to have this taste like. But in general, the bitterness goes away, and in fact, whatever you mix it with will be enhanced by cannabis. Something like the salt taste, the salty taste, that is also enhanced through cannabis. There has been a very strange, a very funny study done on why people love tomato juice in airplanes. And it really is such that tomato juice is served on the airplane in a much higher quantity than it is sold in a supermarket. But
together with vodka and pepper.
It could be, yeah, it could be as one of those bloody or Virgin Marys. But the research done on this had shown that when you go up high in the air through the air pressure differences, somehow your taste buds react differently, and also so that it really does taste better. Now, I have done on Earth, the same tested with cannabis salt, and lo and behold, people love it much better. They like the vegetable juices and the tomato juices much better when it contains cannabis salt.
Do you do such tests as a blind test?
Yeah.
So people don't know?
Yeah.
Otherwise you get the placebo effect.
Yeah, of course. But I must say that the tests we do have nothing to do with scientific research. No. At the moment it is just testing in a circle of friends. Sometimes we invite people, then we sit around 50 people, and we test different kinds of things. And everybody says their opinion to what it is. Taste is a very individual
yes,
thing.
I'm surprised that I've never been invited. I hope you do next time.
I gave your wife a sample of hemp salt.
Yes, I know.
But if you volunteer for testing the drinks as well, I'd be very happy to have you included. Yes.
Sure. I'd love to. Yes. I'm always interested in new things.
All right.
Which takes me back to the question, really, how did you get the idea of getting involved in this hemp business? What made you? What gave you the innovative push, so to speak? Was it just the possibility to make money with it, or was it more than that?
Well,
your kids have grown up now, so you've got a lot of spare time, presumably.
Well, actually, you know that I did my, I had become a psychotherapist a couple of years ago to be the wise woman, progressing age and go away from doing business, because that is very risky and also can be very nerve-wracking. So I got to this not by my specific desire. I mean, I never would have thought about this. This friend of mine, who is really an old friend, and he's deceased in the meantime as well. But he came to me and said, I have this wife from Kazakhstan. We want to grow hemp in Kazakhstan. Galathea, can you help me designing a factory line to produce what I want to produce? And that's when I said, I started with pressing the hemp, pressing the juice from the hemp, which nobody ever does. It's completely against tradition. And so already this act of just pressing the juice from the hemp before it is processed in this line, in this technical line to come up with building material in the end, was something new. And then I just had the feeling, after reading so much about hemp, he gave me books so that I would be knowledgeable about the plant in order to design this factory production line for him. And by reading all this, I thought, my God, why don't we know anything about this plant? The knowledge has been forgotten. And I had the feeling that this juice there's something to the juice that I wanted to explore. And the first thing that I did was take it to the University of Wuppertal and have it analyzed, whether it has any ingredients that might be useful to us as people at all. And yes, indeed, there were lots of ingredients that were in there. And so this is how I got started. So far, I haven't made any money from it at all. It just costs my arm and my leg to have it patented and to have the trademark rights established in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting how people get involved in new projects. In this case, it was your friend.
Yes.
And as you say, you've not yet sold any of this product.
Actually, I must say, I'm not interested in making the product myself except for the hemp salt. I am looking for companies who are already good at what they are doing, making soft drinks. And when you look at the line of energy drinks that are sold in the world right now, the list of energy drinks that are sold in the world and the amount of energy drinks that are sold in the world, you know that there's room right now for another type of drink that relaxes you and it doesn't...
So that's a question of finding the right producer.
Exactly.
And good marketing. Maybe you ought to sponsor Formula 1. You know I'm saying that.
I know why you're saying
that.
Yeah. And in fact, I think the Red Bull and the Green Snake sort of are contradicting each other. Actually, they're not. The way I see it is that you have to have these things side by side.
Yeah, but the snake that eats a bull hasn't been found yet.
Well, have you ever seen a bull eating a snake?
Probably not.
But it does eat cannabis leaves, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I have thought and read about the beverage kind of development that we had in Europe. And what was so interesting to me was that with the Industrial Revolution, all sorts of different kinds of beverages came on the market because people had to work long hours. They had to stay alert. They had to not be hungry, you know. And energy drinks do that. They cater to that part of your autonomous nervous system that is called the sympathetic nervous system. And that keeps you alert and you know, keeps you...
They actually work?
They actually work, of course. Caffeine does, the coca leaves do, and whatever else they have as ingredients is in there. So what is actually missing right now is that part that will enhance the parasympathetic nervous system, that relaxes you, that makes you sleep well, that gets your digestion going well. And, you know, all the things that the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for. And we have only one drink that does that right now, and that is the beer. And the beer doesn't do it because of the grain that's in it. Hops and cannabis are two plants that are very closely related biologically. See? And so cannabis, with all its goodies, with the receptors that we have in our bodies, they like cannabis. They want to have cannabis. You know, once you...
And they don't get it. Now,
well, they don't get it at the moment.
You will ensure that they will get it.
They will, of course. They do at the moment with smoking drugs. And I'm not here to say anything against people who use it as a drug. I'm not. Except that I say that a drug that contains 30% THC, which you can find in the market right now, is outright dangerous to teenagers' brains. And I do not want to enhance the use of cannabis as a drug beyond 8% THC in it at all. I mean, I must say my patent is valid also for THC containing cannabis. So it can be used as a medicine.
But as you said earlier, the type of cannabis used for producing the drink, for example, does have a very, very low content of
so
THC. So the plant is actually designed not to have potential for drug.
The European type, or let me say the industrial hemp that we use in Europe is designed, or it has been has been selected for very low THC content, for sure.
Okay.
But you know, I'm aware of the medical side of the use of cannabis juice as well. And of course there you might want THC in it. But it needs to be controlled and regulated.
Is that a substance that can be isolated from the juice, for example, and used as a concentrate and added in a controlled way?
Yes, and industry does that. The pharmaceutical industry does that. But what I want to provide to the world is something that doesn't need the pharmaceutical world. When you have a medicine with all the side effects, people die from side effects from medicines. I mean, I don't want to have that in my cannabis juice. My goal was from the beginning, that was really my aim and my goal, and I stand for this, that cannabis is used as a plant as it grows in its entirety. And that is what the patents make possible. They can protect the investment of a firm, of a company, into producing this. And at the same time, not having to isolate one of the substances out of it. When we made the research in Wuppertal, I had a comparison done between extracts, which are done either by water extracts or gas extracts or alcohol extracts, compared to the juice itself. And it showed that the good ingredients in the extracts were at the most 10%, much, much, much lower than 10% of the good ingredients in cannabis juice. So why would you want to go through this very costly process? Why do you want to go through this very costly process of having a medicine made out of one of the ingredients goes through testing and validation, when you actually can use the juice as it is?
So the goodies that should be in the concentrate too get lost during the concentration process, is that so?
They do. Of course, then in the concentration process you can concentrate and add again. But it's all very technical and it's all very unnatural. And I think the Chinese medicine, the Indian medicine or ancient medicine, they just show that you can use the plant as it is.
And that goes back a few thousand years.
And that goes back a few thousand years. So why go through technical processes when you actually can take the plant that is controlled in its growth, that is ecological, that is biological because it doesn't have any pesticides, that is good it has double uses. You can use it for industry at the same time you harvest it for human consumption. What more do you want? We don't need all this technical chemical
Is
stuff.
there anything left in the production process that cannot be used, or can really the whole plant be used? The fiber, for example, in ancient years was used for making paper, and of course everybody knows about ropes and string being made out of hemp.
Yeah, and sails.
And I believe even the car industry has used.
They are using it today.
Or are using it more and more nowadays as environmentally friendly material for stuffing seats or something like that.
They actually use it in together with plastic, and they make the interior covers with the hemp, because the plastic is more malleable, is more flexible together with the fibers
so it
cannabis.
becomes part of the covering.
Yes.
But question is there anything left that needs to be taken care of?
Discarded? No, it is not. The plant is something you use in a cascade down. All of it you can use. And in fact, when you press the juice, there is a product that is a remnant, the press remnant.
Yes.
Now, the press remnants can be used to make fibrous tablets for human consumption out of it. We all need more fiber in our food,
yes.
And so this is an additional source of fiber, and so you can use everything. You can even you can use it
need
for
machines
coffee.
for that, and you need to transport to something. Maybe
Yeah, you can't
even,
chew it. You can't chew it. If you try to chew the fibers from cannabis, you won't be able to make it.
So you need to mince it up first.
Yes.
No, why not dry it on the field and then use it for fireplace, just like in Africa they might be drying dung for heating purposes.
Well, we use only the very top part for human consumption to press the juice.
What happens with the lower
rest
part?
It is used by industry. You know, I go to the farmers who grow hemp anyway, and I say I would like to have the top part, 30 to 50 centimeters maybe, and the rest they sell to the industry as they have done before.
Okay.
So it's a true additional use of
Can you grow hemp year by year in the same fields, or do you need to change to some other crop, which is a normal procedure in agriculture?
Actually, it should be. Hemp is known, and this has been proven through research, to enhance the soil for the next following crop. The next following crop has been, at least as far as I'm aware of research, has been increased by 15 to 20% in output when hemp has been grown in the field before. So it actually should not be used as a monocrop. It should be grown in places where you normally would maybe have the field sit there for nothing, for resting. And you can even grow it through the winter, and it's a very versatile plant. So you don't use up more soil than you would right now anyway, and in fact you enhance the soil for the next following crop.
Well, it's obviously a very interesting plant, and very many interesting applications for the plant, and it will be equally interesting to see how your project develops in the future.
Yeah. It will be very interesting to see how industry reacts to this actually novelty, this novel nutrition or beverage type of thing that we will use. I'm pretty sure that we'll see a lot about cannabis in the future.
You say novel, but if you go into the literature and into history, you find that the various potential benefits of the product have been known for thousands of years. So what you're doing actually now is reviving.
Not really. It's completely new to press juice from it. You know, to press the juice from it. In fact, when I applied for the patent, the patent officer here in Germany was holding against me that she had found in the literature a process of making juice by hammering on the hemp plant with a stone. This is you know, how much force you need to apply.
The sort of thing that apes can do.
The sort of thing that apes can do. So you have used, or people have used cannabis for thousands of years, but not in the way that I am proposing right now, pressing the juice from it, which seems to be very novel. I mean, I was surprised myself. It's just that the plant needs a pretty high pressure to be relieved of its juices.
So you need to have a generator in situ in the field that produces electricity for the machines that presumably are driven by
you would work on the farm, because what you produce is, of course, a beverage that is for human consumption. So you have to have it in a clean environment
and then freeze it, etc.
And then freeze it. So you would not do it right at the field, but you would do it on the farm of the farmer.
So what's the next step?
The next step for me is to find a company or companies who want to be licensed partners, who want to buy the patent from me, and do responsible production of cannabis juices and its derivatives products. You can also use it for bathing your body in, because it is very good for your skin. I mean, there are lots of applications that I hope that people get interested in and will ask me. And so this is what I want to give to the world, actually, the patent, my knowledge. But I do not intend to be a producer of beverages myself.
I think that's a very sensible idea, to leave the production to people who are already very well in the business and know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we should wish you luck with your with your project, and I hope that in a year's time also we will hear progress.
Well, the patent is going to be more valuable with time, for sure.
Yes.
And I definitely appreciate your questions.
Okay.
Danke, Christoph.